how do we gain back our confidence after this? Melissa is a beginner Ferrari Challenge driver and she started practicing in a Radical to develop her technique. Today we are working together at the Motor Enclave to improve her technique and prepare her for the Ferrari races, as well as building her racing skills in the best way possible.
I'm gonna drive for the first time so that she can see my process of learning a new track, keeping the car safe and finding the limit in a safe way. And then we're gonna teach her how to find this process, how to develop this process herself, so she can feel a lot more confidence, because she crashed here the last time she drove. So her confidence is very hurt right now. The objective is to really regain that confidence and make her find lap times without being so much in her head.
In these few laps, I just want to show her my process to find the limit in a way that is not gonna even feel scary for her as a passenger. I'm gonna slowly find the pace, warm up the tires, find the grip mid-corner, find the deceleration capabilities of the car, and then just stitch it all together and do a lap that is more or less 3-4 seconds slower than a true fast lap, but just to show her that we can approach that speed very progressively and to help her bring her confidence back.
How was that?
Good.
You felt safe?
Yeah. That was crazy.
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
You go way faster in those turns than I do.
I don't think so. So like the thing is, on the passenger seat, it feels way faster.
Yeah.
It always feels very fast.
Yeah.
Even when I'm not pushing the car on high speeds, I was still testing the grip and showing her how it feels to test the grip in a safe environment. And I was really like just trying to brake a little bit harder and see, okay, that was rear locking, so let's move it forward. You don't want to lock the rears when you're actually pushing. You want to test to see you lock the rears and then you push. And then same thing for steering. So even on the low speed stuff, I was really like scrubbing the front, a little bit of power in front and turning the steering to show her, listen, this is understeer. I want to feel at what speed on this corner I get understeer, because that's going to give me a reference of what is going to be the speed range of that corner. I was just testing it that way and getting her to feel that, and then we're going to go through the video and I'm going to explain the thought process between those laps.
What matters is not how much speed you carry necessarily, of course that matters, but it's really the balance mid-corner. So you never want to lift mid-corner. So what I did, decelerate earlier than you think, and then you do the whole corner on half throttle or full throttle. And that way, the front tires are unloaded and you can really test safely how much more the car has to offer. The Radical is only going to bite you if you brake and turn at the same time.
Right.
Oh man, Radicals are so fun. I was having fun. I'm like, no, I'm here for work.
Oh, you're supposed to have fun. If you're not having fun, something's wrong.
Did you notice anything? You're like, oh.
Yeah, so actually, all your micro corrections, my mind, I'm like, oh my God, I don't do any of those. I'm a very extremely smooth driver. Not doing the micro corrections, it could be just lack of experience.
I would call it lack of communication. I wouldn't actually call them micro corrections. When I was driving with you, I was not really pushing. I was testing. I'm asking, does this turn the car more? And the car tells me yes or no. And then, oh, what about this? Yes or no. What about this?
Yeah.
So I'm like, so how much speed can I carry in this corner? How much grip does the front tire have here? So it's more of a communication tool to just test it out, you know? I'm not really, I'm losing it and catching. I'm not losing at all. I'm just trying, testing to see how the line is affected. Let's say you're under the limit. So you're not understeering, you're not oversteering, and you're turning, and you're not doing anything else. You're doing the perfect smooth line, but the car is not telling you anything, and you're not asking anything from the car. So you and the car are like disconnected.
So that's me.
And I think that happens because we tend to follow that sacred smooth as fast idea. But for me, it's more about how many times per second can you get feedback from the car. I'm really trying, because the biggest problem with being too smooth, and let's say you're under the limit, you don't know that you are under the limit, you're not asking anything, you're spending that much time not learning anything. As soon as you go over the limit, because you're not in the mindset of flirting with the limit, when it happens, you're not mentally prepared for that.
Sure.
And then you lose the car right away.
Yep.
So it's better to be, let's say this is the limit, it's better to be right close to the limit all the time, because you're always testing, then micro-correcting, and then just being here, and then when it happens, you don't know what to do, because you've never been there.
Right.
So that's the whole idea that I want to work with
Okay.
you today and tomorrow, is
Yeah.
to teach you how to test and how to communicate with the car. As soon as you get that feeling that, oh, if I do this, this happens, if I do this, this happens, you feel 100 times more confident, because now you know that you're one with the car. It's that communication that matters. And as soon as you learn that with the Radical, it's going to be way easier in the GT3, because there you have ABS, you have traction control. It tells you everything, right?
Yeah.
But that mid-corner rotation, you can still test, you can still transfer everything that we're working in the Radical. It's going to be easier to apply in the Ferrari.
I like that.
We're going to talk about the same thing.
Yep.
25 times,
That's okay.
different wording, different expressions, but always focusing on that. So I want to see you today or tomorrow really testing it, fishing for grip,
Okay.
and getting more direct, immediate, consistent feedback from the car.
Okay.
Anything else from the driving, braking lines?
Braking, that sharp, initial hit, and then the feathering off, which I have to work on.
How is your braking?
I'm trying to learn that hard initial. I lock up the brakes a lot because I hold it too long, so I can do that hard initial, but then for me to get off and start feathering it is what I have to work
I
on.
think I can help you with that. So instead of thinking of hard initial, forget hard. It's fast initial.
Okay.
I was not braking hard. You felt like it was hard because your head went forward right away. Instead of like hard, it's just like fast.
Okay.
So I'm not pressing and then squeezing. I'm just this, but it's not hard. It's just a fast application, so that I go to, let's say hard would be 90 bar. I'm not going to 90 bar, I'm going to 50, but I'm spiking to 50.
Yeah.
So that fast initial is way safer because you're far from locking. Because I think if you think of hard initial, you stay there and then you lock.
Yeah.
And you don't want to do
that's what
that.
I was doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For this session, every time you're going to apply the brakes, make sure you relax your hands and
Yeah.
make sure you straighten a
I
little
thought
bit.
about that a lot last night. The whole, and what did you do? You did this?
Yeah, as soon as it's like a,
Yeah.
as soon as you touch the brakes, your hands have to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
The good thing with the Radical is that because there's no power steering, what you feel in the steering is literally what's happening at the contact patch of the tire. So it tells you. If you start braking a tiny bit, it's gonna pull you to center because there's more load on the front, and the self-centering force pulls the steering back. If you just relax your hands, it kind of corrects it for you in a way. If the car has power steering, then just relaxing your hands is not gonna help, and the car is still gonna oversteer. So you have to actively center the steering. Which I hate. I don't like that. I'm driving the TCR right now. All my teammates are like power steering on max out. I literally have it turned off.
Really?
My teammate is like, why do you like the steering is so heavy? It's like, yeah, because I can talk to the car this way. Like everyone's like power steering maxed out. I'm like, bro, no, you have to feel it. You know? Which is something that might change a little bit your mindset, because you said you liked the light steering yesterday. And I'm like,
Yeah.
The light steering is, it's kind of like a, you know?
Yeah.
You can't really understand what's happening.
I get what you're saying on that, and yeah, I don't know. It might end up changing my mind. The more time I spend in this car, I do sense that I feel a lot more of what the car is doing in this car. I just thought it was just because it was, heavier steering, but I guess essentially it is, right?
It is because of that,
With
yeah,
that, yeah.
exactly. Because the heaviness comes from the fact that you're literally mechanically controlling where tires are pointing.
Yeah.
There's no electronic interference in it. You can find a sweet spot, right? Like you can turn down the power steering on the Ferrari just so it's a little bit heavier, and you can hear it with your hands. The best analogy, you're hearing what's happening with your hands, because any little force is telling you what's happening at the contact patch.
So how does that work though? Because obviously we don't have ABS and traction control on this car. Do you still feel it as much in the Ferrari, even with it turned down? When, you're probably not using a lot of ABS or traction control, right?
Yeah, I'm on race mode. We use it. We use it pretty well. We still rely on the ABS and the TCR.
Okay.
And I drove a GT4 2 days ago. It was on ABS. It was pretty strong. You can rely on it. Rely is not the right word. You can use it, but you should not like stay on it all the time, because then it doesn't teach you the brake traces and all the dynamics of it, right? There's other ways you can feel the car through, you know, like the seat of pants. You can feel the car visually, but the steering is another extra tool that gives you that extra precision, because the steering tells you so much more. Don't go for like super numb wheels.
Honestly, I didn't even know you could change the power steering.
There you go. Yeah. No, you can tune it. You can tune it. There's like, it's a percentage, right? You have probably like 5 modes. You can find the one that you like the most.
Gotcha.
So there is bad news.
Interesting.
Here's the thing you can already never forget. I'm gonna say that again after.
Nothing is gonna happen if you're 50% throttle, you turn the steering. Like if you're 50% throttle on a low power car, maybe Ferrari, first gear is still gonna get you something. But like this car, low power, 50% throttle, the only thing that happens is you add a little bit of weight to the rears and the fronts are dead. So if you go 50% throttle on cold tires and you turn the steering like this, nothing's gonna happen. The car's just gonna go straight and start turning a little bit. And I did that with you a little bit, like maybe not that like that, but you saw probably a lot of half throttle and just scrubbing. So what am I doing there? I'm actually adding temperature to the fronts in the safest way possible. So it's half throttle, you can do whatever you want.
We'll try.
Yeah, the thing about motorsports, because we were learning about so many things at the same time. Like you're applying literally 75 techniques in 1 second, right? So we need to reinforce one thing several times over months until it becomes natural and fits all the other techniques that you're working on. So it is natural to repeat. If you say like, oh, I already heard about that, but like it's still not clicking, then you need to hear it more and more and more until it clicks.
Well, and I've seen it. Like, I saw you do it. I've seen Cameron do it. I've seen Sebastian do it. And every time I see it, I'm like, you know.
The ultimate aha moment is when you try it and you feel it.
Right.
when it feels right, no words are gonna replace that.
Yeah.
Not understeering, not oversteering. Nothing is happening.
Right.
And you're not hearing anything. Right? But even on cold tires, we can do it. Every mid corner, every corner, try to not use the exit by going half throttle and turning more the steering.
Okay.
If the car really goes so much that like you would go to the grass on the inside, then you're like, okay, I'm way too slow. Next lap, I'm gonna try to carry a little bit more speed. I'm gonna brake early. I'm gonna carry that low speed into the corner. But then mid corner, half throttle, turn the steering. Until you feel that you're actively inducing that understeer. And then when that clicks, you're gonna see that when you get into that understeer, the line is gonna be predictable, because now the car is locked in by the front, it's front limited, and it's just gonna continue turning a fixed radius depending on your speed. And then it's safe. When you realize that, oh wow, understeer. Okay, next corner, brake early, understeer. Everywhere, and try not to use the exit.
So you want me going into the corner slower and then...
Mid corner, turn the steering more and half throttle, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, carrying more speed into the corner is the last thing we're gonna do, when everything else mid corner is sorted.
Makes sense.
Before getting back on track, we showed her how to do an even more exaggerated version of this exercise on the simulator.
Turn more.
Interesting.
And that's what Suellio is playing with. So the moment he gets understeered, that's the limit.
Okay.
And then he's just backing off of it.
Oh yeah, I feel it. It's vibrating.
And I know you might be thinking that this is easy, but remember that this only feels easy if the weight transfer work is right. If you try this exercise and the pedal work is wrong, like coasting or braking, you can actually spin immediately, even in real life, which is why it's so important to work on your weight transfer control until you can do this comfortably.
For this session, we're gonna try to talk to the car a little bit more by testing the limit of the front tires. How are you gonna do that?
Purposely induce understeer. We're going to add some gas mid-corner with some extra steering input.
Perfect. That's it. I just want you to just feel it a lot. Like,
Yeah.
you can do it more and more times until you're super comfortable with it.
When you're talking about adding steering, you're talking about, you know, what you were doing, adding steering, right?
Yeah, turning a little bit more and just feeling that. Yeah. If the car turns more, it's just because it's not on the limit yet.
Right.
And that's the already the first aha moment. You're gonna realize, oh wow, there was this much grip that I was not using.
Right.
If you fail to get the understeer, it's still gonna be helpful. And if you do get understeer, then you're gonna be like, oh wow, that's the limit of the front tires.
Yeah.
So there's 2 benefits on this exercise.
On the first few sessions, we can already see that she's starting to turn the steering a little bit more actively and starting to visit that exercise, although she's not doing it too much yet, but it is definitely a step in the right direction.
So?
Much better. It's amazing how much more comfortable you are. I don't know that I'm still doing as much understeer as you want, but
Yeah, as long as you're feeling that you're reaching that front limit, that's good. That's the objective.
As soon as you start braking anywhere, your eyes immediately have to move to what's your next target.
Right.
Because you're looking at the braking zone from far back. That's your target. You're fixating on that. As soon as you brake, your eyes go to the next target immediately. It's connected. If you do that, you will naturally turn in earlier. If you start braking and your eyes are locked in to somewhere, you're not actually focusing anywhere, right? So you're just kind of like a little bit afraid, and then when you look, you already missed it.
Right.
There's connections. As soon
Yeah.
as you touch the brakes, you look forward.
Okay.
I want you to treat this half throttle thing as a confidence tool. It's a safety tool. So if you're turning and you're coasting, you're more likely to oversteer than if you have throttle. So right now here, what you do, you braked, now you start turning and you're still off throttle, off throttle, off throttle, off throttle, off throttle. This is actually more dangerous.
Okay.
So if you had 50% throttle the whole thing, it would be way safer, and then you would actually feel the understeer. If you're off throttle, don't try it. Like, because if you do it, it's gonna rotate,
gonna
right?
fit, yeah.
But if you're 50% throttle and you can feel that it's starting to be like kind of lazy, then you can test even more. It's all about managing the load on the front tires. If you're coasting, then the load is kind of neutral, but the radical, it does rotate a lot more when it's neutral. Accelerate a tiny bit, now it's safer. Try to
Alright.
not spend too much time off throttle.
Okay.
If you're not braking, touch the throttle a little bit. It's a double bonus because it gives you more confidence,
Sure.
and you don't let the speed go down as much.
Sure.
Nice. You see, it's starting to move a little bit more. It's almost like you're off the brakes a little bit already.
Okay.
Instead of brake, off, and then throttle.
Okay.
Let's try to eliminate the coasting for now,
Okay.
because it's gonna force you to be more aware and more active with the pedals.
Okay.
It's way more useful to be active. There's one thing that I talk about, like a passive driving versus active driving. Passive driving is when you brake, you turn, you wait, you do nothing, you're not on the limit, and you're kind of like just waiting for the car to do something.
Right.
And that is where like you're not really learning anything because nothing's
Sure.
happening.
Right.
Active is like, okay, you're always trying something, you're always on the throttle, always on
Always
the brakes.
asking
Always,
something.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. If you spend 1 year being an active driver versus being a passive driver, you can become better than 85% of the population.
Wow.
Because
Okay.
most people are passive. Like most people are afraid and they don't try. If you're actively giving yourself immediate feedback from the car, then you're 1 year learning exponentially more than by coasting too much and kind of waiting.
Okay. All right.
And I know that when you actually like reach an obvious understeer, you're gonna come back
Be
and
like,
you're
oh
gonna be
my god,
I did it! I know.
So as the day goes by, we can see Melissa accelerating and turning mid-corner, never letting the car coast, keeping the car stable, trusting more and more on the steering, and regaining her confidence enough to already beat her old lap times before that crash with a proper set of techniques that will eventually make her find 3, 4, 5 more seconds. And this is the foundation that she will never forget. You can already see her, especially on the low speeds, turning a lot more the steering, testing the grip of the car, even sometimes not using the exits and realizing how much more grip there is. And this is the foundation that is going to evolve very quickly into very fast laps.
Starting to notice that your brake application is inverted. You're still doing this,
Okay.
and then you drop fast. So your graph is kind of like an inverted triangle. It goes up slow and then down fast.
Okay.
We gotta,
Switch it around.
yeah. So it's gotta be boom and then release, instead of like and then drop, because that you lose speed control, you lose entry balance control if you do that. As you approach the corner, braking a little bit faster will give you a more precise notion of how much the car can slow down.
Okay.
Boom, turn, and here, boom, turn. That's probably a secondary.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's for me, it's a little scary at first, for sure. A lot easier to do on the simulator because if I mess up, I can just hit the reset. One of my struggles is getting a fast lap right away or quickly this will definitely help heat up the tires faster.
Take away all those demons.
Yes, exactly.
You're gonna crash, right? What happens if I go a little bit too fast here?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That's the first step of one of those important pillars that will be used for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
You're never gonna forget that. It's one of those aha moments. One of the most important aha moments that happen in your career are actually pretty early in your technique. So it's very important to hit that as early as possible because it has an exponential effect in your drive technique in the long term.
It's easy to say, oh, go out on the track and do X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
But you can say, go out on the track and do X, Y, and Z, and this is why, and this is what it's going to do for you. It makes it a little bit easier to apply it when you know what the purpose of it.
And what the thought process is in your head before that even happens, right? What's the objective? How do you develop even that precision? Because sometimes they tell you, hey, just trail brake, but like you don't know exactly how much, for how long, and what's gonna affect the balance of the car, how you're gonna have to adjust your steering to fit that. So the thing with motorsports is that everything happens in 1 second, right? You brake, you turn, that's it. And there is a wealth of information and possible techniques inside that second that is very difficult to break down and to make understandable. And whenever you adjust one thing, you have to readjust everything else to make the whole system work. And that is the biggest challenge with motorsports that we always try to break down to things.
Perfect. Active driver.
All right, last thing. What do we think of the Wilco Racing livery on the Radical?
I love it. What do you think?
I was a little bit almost jealous, but I still believe my car is better. I still believe my car is my black and golden one, you know.
Are you going to incorporate a little
But I will give you second place. And I've seen many Radicals. No, it is gorgeous. It is really good. When I saw it for the first time, I was like,
If you're a racing driver and you want to reach an advanced level, there's a faster and easier way to become competitive. I've gone from this to this in 5 years. Now, we've created the perfect free driver development guide to help you understand the right order of racing skills to develop if you want to become a competitive driver as quickly as possible. This guide was made after 3,000 hours of combined high-level coaching.